Growing up in a modest suburban home, my name is Stella, and I've always had to be the responsible one. My younger sister, Mia, often received new clothes and the latest gadgets, while I had to make do with hand-me-downs and work part-time during high school to afford my own things. I remember Mia joyriding with friends and crashing our dad's car. Instead of punishment, our parents decided to give her driving lessons and eventually, her own used car. When I questioned why I never received a car despite excelling in school and juggling two jobs, my dad simply shrugged and said, "Mia needs more encouragement. You're already doing well." Another time, Mia borrowed my prom dress without asking and ruined it with red wine the night before my dance. My parents' response was to lend me money for a last-minute replacement, which I ended up having to pay back in full, though they later forgave her debt. Despite these challenges, I persevered. I worked my way through college while Mia dropped out after a semester, saying it wasn't for her. I secured a stable position at a marketing firm, rented a cozy apartment, and eventually met Derek. Derek and I had been together for 2 years when Mia called me in tears about losing her job once again. "I don't know what to do, Stell," she cried over the phone. "They fire me for being late, but it wasn't even my fault. The bus was delayed, and my boss is just a jerk." Though I suspected her chronic irresponsibility played a role, she was still my sister. "What do you need?" I asked. "Can I stay with you for a bit until I find another job? My landlord's forcing me to leave by the end of the week." I glanced around the small apartment I shared with Derek. "Let me talk to Derek," I said. Though Derek wasn't enthusiastic, having found Mia self-centered from previous meetings, "It's just for a few weeks," I reassured him. So, 2 months ago, Mia moved in, bringing only 2 suitcases but lots of drama. She quickly took over our living room, using up my expensive shampoo and making little effort to find work. "I'm researching opportunities," she'd say, buried in her phone. Derek attempted to mask his irritation, but it showed in his demeanor when he found Mia lounging in pajamas at 4 p.m. Last Tuesday began typically, with an important client meeting planned for 2 p.m. However, by noon, a migraine overcame me. Medication didn't help, so I rescheduled with my boss and headed home, longing for silence and darkness. Upon arriving, strange noises from the bedroom caught my attention. I thought perhaps Mia was ill or in trouble as I approached the partially open door. Stepping inside, I was stunned to find my sister and Derek together, naked. Derek reacted first, pushing Mia away and grabbing a sheet. "Stella, this isn't. It just happened," he stammered. Mia looked unashamed, sitting casually, as if nothing was amiss. My voice remained surprisingly calm as I asked, "What the hell is this?" Derek scrambled to justify his actions, whereas Mia rolled her eyes, dismissing my feelings. "Oh, come on, Stella. Don't be so dramatic," she said, her tone snapping something inside me. 2 years with Derek, 2 months of helping Mia, and this was my reward. "Get out," I demanded. Derek pleaded, insisting it meant nothing, but Mia's smirk said otherwise. "Don't bother, Derek," she laughed. "You've been unhappy with her for months." "I love him, Stella, and I'm taking him." I stormed into the closet, tossing their clothes into the hall, then grabbed Mia's suitcases and Derek's gym bag. "You have 5 minutes to pack." While standing with my arms crossed and avoiding eye contact, I calmly demanded, "Pack up and leave before I alert the authorities." They scurried around, hurriedly gathering their things into bags. Once they were ready, I escorted them to the exit. "Stella, please," Derek pleaded, desperate for one final conversation. "There's nothing more to discuss," I asserted, pushing them into the corridor and flinging their remaining belongings after them. "You're dead to me," I declared, shutting the door with a solid slam, locking it securely, and sliding down to the floor where I finally allowed myself to weep until exhaustion set in. I ignored Derek's incessant messages pleading for forgiveness. By the time my mother's number flashed on my screen around 9 p.m., I hesitated slightly before answering. "Hello," I said, bracing myself for the reprimand that followed. "What on earth has gotten into you?" Mom's voice blistered with fury. I couldn't believe my ears. "How dare you leave your sister stranded?" She was in tears when she called me, she scolded. "Do you have any idea what happened?" Mia was with Derek in my own bed. I explained incredulously. So what? These situations arise, she retorted dismissively. You had no business kicking her out. She's your sister, and she's in love with him. Happy? Are you joking? I shot back, my voice breaking. You have a stable job and can find another place, she reasoned absurdly. Why not let Mia and Derek keep your apartment? They need it more. I was speechless, feeling as though I'd fallen into an alternate reality. You think I should simply hand over my apartment to my sister and the guy she took from me? That's insane. Don't speak to me like that, she warned. You're always selfish and jealous of Mia. Just grow up and do what's right. I let out a bitter laugh. The right thing, like what Mia did. Or what you're doing now. You're unmanageable, Mom snapped. I raised you better than this. No, I corrected her. You raised Mia to believe she could take whatever she wanted and taught me to step aside. I've had enough of all this. Cutting her off, I ended the call and blocked her number. Then, I blocked Mia and Derek as well, deciding never again to be the responsible, sacrificial one I'd always been. A few days later, my cousin Emily informed me that Mia and Derek had moved in with my parents and were now the adored couple at family gatherings. Mia is telling everyone Derek's her soulmate, Emily shared over coffee. She's plastering social media with nauseating love captions. I don't care, I responded, though it was far from the truth. It was painful, but I immersed myself in work instead. My boss, Alicia, noticed my intense focus. Whatever's driving this productivity, I approve, she remarked. The Roberts campaign was a triumph, Stella, and I'm recommending you for the senior marketing strategist position. The promotion came with a pay raise and my own office. Eager to celebrate, I went to Riverfront with friends. My college buddy Zach insisted on buying rounds. To Stella, the marketing whiz and all-around badass, he toasted. By evening's end, only Zach and I remained. Having known him since our freshman year, he was my go-to person for car troubles or honest feedback. He'd never liked Derek, always calling him too slick and suspiciously perfect. You were right about him, I confessed, emboldened by drinks. Zach's face softened. I'm sorry he hurt you, he said gently. You deserve better. Something in his gaze made my heart flutter. Though chemistry was always there, we'd never crossed from friendship to more, until that night. Unclear who initiated the visit to his place, I distinctly recall butterflies as we laughed our way through his door. I remember the laughter fading into something deeper, the first kiss starting shy, then intensifying. I awoke the next morning in his bed, momentarily disoriented, then aware. Oh my God, I murmured, clutching the sheet. What happened? Fully dressed, Zach handed me coffee, replying, Nothing we need to regret unless you do. I took a sip, feeling warmth that I was buying time, unsure of myself. I don't want to ruin our friendship, I said, acknowledging the man before me. Zach was sitting on the bed's edge, his expression open. Who says it has to be ruined? Maybe it would even be better, he suggested. I took in his features, the gentle blue eyes and the faint worry line etched in his forehead, and remembered how Zach was there when I was at my worst. He'd held my hair back a decade ago at that miserable frat party, and he drove hours just to help me move into my first apartment. Zach, who saw my imperfections and liked me anyway. Are you saying you want to date me? I finally asked, catching the hint of anxiety in his smile. I'm saying I've wanted to since sophomore year, but the timing, he trailed off. I thought of Derek's betrayal and felt a rush of hesitation about diving right back into another relationship, but Zach wasn't just anyone. Maybe we could try, I replied carefully. He agreed, nodding slowly, promising to take it slow. However, within weeks, our rhythm quickened, and suddenly, we were officially a couple. To my surprise, Zach's parents were delighted. Finally, his mother exclaimed, hugging me tightly when he broke the news. We've been waiting years for him to realize what's been in front of him. His father clapped my shoulder jovially, declaring, You're already family, Stella, now. It's just official. It seemed surreal that they welcomed me so warmly, considering my rocky history with familial acceptance. While Mia continued to inundate her social media with loved-up photos with Derek, a visual reminder I could hardly avoid, slowly I noticed the sting of it fade as Zach and I became more serious. 6 months down the line, Zach took me to the lighthouse at sunset, then dropped to one knee, his voice a hopeful tremor as he proposed. I accepted without pause. Our engagement party was scheduled for 3 months later, held at Bellin, an upscale Italian restaurant. Invites were sent to my closest friends, Zach's family, and some of my dad's side, who'd always shown kindness. Notably absent were my parents and Mia. Certain rifts proved too profound to mend. The evening of the party was idyllic. It was clear that Janet, Zach's mother, meticulously arranged everything to perfection, from the ambient lighting to the flowers that complemented my ring, a celebration of my happiness genuinely felt for the first time. But the morning after, the euphoria dissipated when my phone rang, my mother's name flashing on the screen. Recently, I had unblocked her number without a specific reason. "What do you want, Mom?" I asked, keeping my tone flat. "How could you?" she replied, an edge of accusation in her voice. "How could you host an engagement party and exclude your family?" I sighed, already weary of this confrontation. "I invited the family I chose." "We're your family, Stella. Mia is your sister regardless, no matter what occurred between you two." My voice rose, laced with an old hurt. "Do you mean ignoring the fact she slept with my boyfriend and that you told me to let them stay in the apartment? That type of family?" She responded, her indignation rising. "Family is forever, Stella. You don't abandon family. It's ironic how you and Dad abandoned me, and MIA did too," I countered. "That's not fair. We've stood by you in every way," she claimed.
"No, Mom.
"You've always been there for Mia. There's a difference." The accusation stung enough for her to try a different tactic. "Your father was really hurt, not being invited to walk you down the aisle." "It wasn't a wedding," I clarified, growing tired. "Given you chose to stand with Mia and Derek, why would I want you there?" She huffed. "You're being childish." "Goodbye, Mom." Ending the call, I blocked her number again. After our engagement, the months slipped by, a whirlwind of wedding plans enveloping me. Zach's mother was invaluable, lending her expertise on everything from venues to cake. His sister, Maya, naturally assumed the role of an unofficial planner, her spreadsheets and timelines a godsend. "You're the sister I should have had," I admitted to Maya one afternoon, comparing dress swatches. "And you're the sister I always wanted," she replied warmly, squeezing my hand. One evening, as Zach and I were tossing around honeymoon ideas, my phone rang with an unrecognized number. I nearly ignored it, but something prompted me to answer. "Stella, it's Mom." Her voice sounded off, tight with strain. "You need to come home right away. It's life or death." My stomach flipped, anxiety bubbling. Despite everything, they were still my family. "Is Dad okay? Are you alright?" I questioned, my mind swirling with fearful possibilities. Cancer, a heart attack, a terrible accident. "Just come," she insisted. "As soon as you can." I hung up, mind racing. "I need to go to my parents' house," I informed Zach. Mom spoke of an emergency. "Do you want me to come with you?" he asked, frowning in concern. "I will be all right on my own, but I'll reach out if necessary," I assured as I embarked on a 30-minute drive back to my childhood home. With every mile, my anxieties seemed to magnify. The dread of potentially losing my father or discovering my mother gravely ill loomed over me despite our estranged relationship. As soon as I pulled into the driveway, I rushed to the door, where my mother stood waiting as if she'd anticipated my arrival. "What's happening?" I asked urgently upon entering the house. She guided me to the living room where my father, perfectly healthy, sat in his armchair. Beside him was Mia, her eyes swollen from tears. Relief washed over me knowing nobody was dying, but my curiosity spiked. "What's this about?" I queried. "Your sister needs you," Mom indicated towards Mia. I stood with arms folded as Mia tearfully revealed, "Derek left me." I waited, expecting more, but that was supposedly the crisis. "Is this why I'm here? Because Mia has relationship problems?"
I asked.
Mom nodded solemnly, adding, "There's more. She's pregnant." My gaze shifted from Mia's tear-streaked face to my parents' worried expressions as Mom elaborated. Derek moved to Arizona, refusing to marry her or support the baby. "What does this have to do with me?" I shrugged. Exchanging looks, Mom remarked, "This is partly your fault." Stunned, I questioned, "How is Mia being pregnant by my ex-boyfriend my fault?" Mom persistently argued, "You knew Derek better than anyone. You should have warned her." Speechless, I couldn't suppress laughing. "So let me get this straight," I finally said. "She steals my boyfriend, moves in, gets pregnant, and I'm to blame because I didn't warn her he might not be trustworthy?" "Don't twist my words," Mom snapped. "You know exactly what I mean." Dad added, "Stella, this isn't the time for grudges. Your sister needs help now." Eyeing Mia with her familiar manipulative look, the kind that melted our parents' resolve in the past, I questioned, "What help am I supposed to offer?" "Financial support for starters," Mom replied. "Mia can't work right now. She needs money for doctor visits, baby supplies." "No," I firmly stated. "Her pregnancy isn't my responsibility." Mom stood, anger flushed on her face, demanding, "How can you be so callous? This is your niece or nephew." I reminded her, "Mia is the one who betrayed me, and you sided with her. Why should I support her now?" "Because she's family," Mom retorted loudly. "That excuse no longer holds weight with me," I declared as I began to leave. "I'm sorry, Mia, but this isn't my problem," I insisted. Despite my mother's loud objections behind me, I strode out feeling a newfound sense of relief for standing firm for once. Over the next week, I immersed myself in wedding plans, finalizing flowers and the menu with help from Janet and Maya, while Zach handled music and photography. On a serene Saturday morning, as Zach and I relished coffee and honeymoon plans, an email notification grabbed my attention. "Oh no," I murmured upon opening it. "What happened?" Zach asked, concerned. I showed him my phone, revealing an email from my mother titled, "Baby Expenses." Attached was a PDF meticulously detailing prenatal vitamins costing $150 per month, childbirth classes at $300, maternity clothes of $800, and more, amounting to over $20,000. At the bottom, a note from Mom read, "Since Derek abandoned Mia, these are ultimately your responsibility. Please arrange payment soon." Bewildered, my coffee nearly slipped. "They can't be serious," I mumbled as Zach's jaw dropped in disbelief. "This is beyond absurd," he replied, aghast. Seeking advice, I asked, "What should I do?" Knowing I could ignore it, I faced the headache it brought. "No, I'm done with their manipulation," I resolved. I crafted a response. "Mom, I will not cover any expenses related to Mia's pregnancy or child. Her situation results from her choices, like sleeping with my boyfriend. Neither my fiancé and I are not willing to offer any sort of financial aid or support. Therefore, please refrain from contacting me about this matter or anything else. I no longer desire any connection with you, Dad or Mia Stella." I pressed send and then blocked their emails along with any contact methods I had missed before. Saying it made me feel both relieved and a bit sad, but it was over. Within half an hour, my parents and Mia began calling, and I silenced all their attempts. When they couldn't reach me directly, they started contacting my friends and distant relatives. My cousin Emily called, sounding confused, asking why my mom was saying I wouldn't help my pregnant sister because of jealousy. Similar calls poured in from other family members and even some former classmates. It seemed my parents were on a campaign to paint me as unkind and uncaring. "I'm exhausted," I told Zach after receiving the fifth call. "They're twisting everything." He advised me to set the record straight. "You have the proof," he said. After mulling over it, I agreed with him. I wrote a lengthy explanation on social media, detailing everything from Mia's betrayal to my parents defending her, eventually leading to their demand that I fund her pregnancy. I included screenshots of the expense list as evidence. The response was immense. Friends and family expressed shock at my parents' behavior. Even relatives who first believed my parents' version reached out to apologize. I had no idea, my Aunt Susan said. Your mother convinced everyone you left Mia in her time of need. I should have known better. For 2 weeks, things remained quiet. Our wedding day neared, and I focused on last-minute details. Then, one Saturday afternoon, loud knocking echoed at our door. Peering through the peephole, I sighed. It's my parents, I told Zach, who came to stand by me. Want me to handle them? No, I said, I'll do it. Maybe we can resolve this. Opening the door revealed my mother, father, and visibly pregnant Mia in the corridor. Before I could speak, Mom started yelling about me humiliating them online, taking family issues public. We raised you better, she shouted. I let her vent uninterrupted as her face grew red and her gestures wild. Dad nodded along while Mia played the victim, resting a hand on her belly. When Mom finally paused, I asked calmly, "Are you done?" "We're just getting started," Dad said. "We're not leaving until you agree to help your sister." I laughed softly. That's not going to happen. Selfish and ungrateful, Mom began again, but Zach stepped forward, his voice firm yet calm. Enough, he said. I won't let you bully her anymore. Bully her, Dad scoffed. We're her parents. Parents who've always favored one child over the other, expecting sacrifices, Zach replied. Parents who stood by their daughter's betrayal and now want Stella to bear the financial cost. That's not parenting. It's abuse, he declared. Mom gasped dramatically. How dare you, she shrieked. It's time to leave, Zach continued, or I'll call security. You wouldn't dare, Dad challenged. Zach simply pulled out his phone. Try me. They left, but not without Mom's parting threat. This isn't over, Stella. You'll regret turning your back on family. After they were gone, more calls came in, relatives reporting that my parents persisted in slandering me. Some saw Mom and Mia standing outside their church with signs proclaiming that Stella Jenkins abandoned her pregnant sister. It's unbelievable, I told Zach, but I'm done caring. Our wedding day arrived 3 months later, and despite my parents' drama, it was perfect. We celebrated at a stunning lakeside venue, surrounded by people who sincerely cared. Zach had thought ahead, hiring security just in case, and his foresight proved prudent when my parents and a pregnant Mia attempted to crash the reception with a sign in hand. Security calmly turned them away. Your family's here, Maya whispered, gesturing to the guests gathered. The real one, she affirmed, and she was right. As I looked around at the smiling faces of friends who had become family and in-laws who showered me with more love than my own parents ever did, I felt whole. Zach and I departed the next day for a honeymoon in Hawaii, 2 blissful weeks filled with sun and new beginnings. Months later, I heard from Emily that Mia had a baby boy. My parents were helping raise him, endlessly complaining about their financial troubles and about their heartless daughter who refused to help, but their words lost their sting. I had crafted a life with a man who respected and cherished me, encircled by people who supported us, and I was free from the toxic dynamics of my upbringing, finding happiness on my own terms.